Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Where the hell you been all this time? Come to think of it, it's probably my fault we haven't seen each other in a while, considering it's been almost 5 months since my last video release. Because of that, I think we're due for a short recap of where we left off building this shed behind me. By the end of my last video, I dry assembled the shed back at my shop. Although I don't want to make it a habit to have 5-month intervals between video releases, far too often my ADD gets the best of me and I'm easily distracted. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was doing my intro. So again, apologies for taking so long to get this video out. The shed's actually been finished for a few months now. I'm just slowly outfitting it with blacksmith equipment in order to start forging in there. However, I'm dealing with some mechanical issues with the hand-cranked blower fan for the coal forge right now, so we're not going to get into any forging in this video. I do hope you enjoy the spattering of different projects in this video that were required to finish the shed build. From the earthwork and site prep I had to do for this location, to the welding of the custom brackets I built to hold all 4 corner posts down to their piers. Of course, a little bit more woodwork and joinery, and even doing God dang geese. Hit the deck, boys! And even using a mobile sawmill to make all the siding and roofing from some logs here at my property. I'm Pete, and let me introduce you to the rest of the crew. All right, well, that concrete's setting up. I'm going to head down to the shop and start working on the brackets that are going to anchor the shed down to those piers. For this, I'm using 3/8 of an inch steel plate, and luckily my shopmate Dylan had some scrap laying around that was the perfect width. So here I am just cutting them to length, and they'll end up roughly 5-inch square. I'll then weld one vertically across the top of another one, creating what is commonly referred to as a knife plate. I like the concept of these knife plates because they're mostly hidden in the bottom of the post. Pete, why don't you just go to Home Depot and get some brackets for 6x6 post? Well, firstly, a video of me going to Home Depot would make for terribly boring content. Also, every time I'm in a Home Depot, I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack. And secondly, the off-the-shelf brackets they offer at Home Depot don't really fit my style and cost about $60 each. So I'd rather spend hours of my time fabricating these custom ones while also learning a little bit about a new skill, as I am not really a welder. Thanks again to my shopmate Dylan for the use of his tools, helping me set up the welder, and teaching me how to run a bead on these corner welds. The four corner posts get 3/8 inch wide notches cut into the bottom of them. Once the frame is raised, those corner posts will fasten to the brackets with a couple hefty steel pins and then covered up with wooden plugs. The last bit of exciting woodwork to do was using my adze to scallop the ends of all 7 rafters. This gives the shed a very simple decorative detail. There are actually a handful of ways to cut this detail. I really appreciate the hand-hewn effect of using the adze. It's also not very often that you get to pull out your adze and use it. I think it's a very interesting and primitive tool that has a variety of uses. It does require a bit of hand-eye coordination and being aware of exactly how you're standing. That is, if you don't have prosthetic legs. My biggest concern was missing and hitting one of my titanium shins, damaging the adze much worse than my artificial legs. With the last of the woodwork and the knife plates being finished, it was finally time to bring everything home and start raising the frame. Here I'm securing the knife plates to their piers using 1/2-inch concrete anchor bolts, taking special care to make sure they line up with the bottoms of the post once the frame is raised. I had originally planned to assemble both side walls on the ground and then use my excavator to raise them up and lower them onto their knife plates. Unfortunately, around this time, one of the main hydraulic cylinders on my excavator had failed. In retrospect, I would have been wise to hold off raising the frame until I had fixed the excavator. However, I'm very stubborn, and this is what I had set out to do that day, as everything was ready and I forged ahead anyway. What transpired was a very frustrating and painful couple of hours in which tools were thrown and curse words were yelled, but enough time has passed that I'm able to make light of it now. With all that behind us, a night of good rest, and maybe one too many beers, it came time to place all the rafters. These are held down to the top plates using 3/8-inch lags. I'm step drilling here where I use a pilot bit to drill the full length of the lag, And then I use a bit the same diameter as the lag, in this case 3/8, to drill only through the piece that I am fastening down. I'm also drilling a shallow counterbore hole to accept the head and the washer of the lag. These lags, the nails and screws that hold on the siding and the roofing, and the pins that anchor the corner posts to their brackets are the only metal fasteners I'm using in this shed. For all the other joints, I'm using hard oak pegs. These pegs were actually bought from a timber frame supply company. They produce various lengths and diameters and different species of hardwood pegs. These are 3/4 inch diameter by 12 inch long white oak, and they come pre-waxed for ease of installation. As I was putting the pegs in, I used long clamps to snug up any loose joints prior to drilling. Because my frame is built of 6x6s, I went ahead and got 12-inch pegs. I would drive them in until they were just sticking through the other side. I'd trim off the excess and then be able to use the offcut as another peg. In the end, I think it saved me about $10. With the frame finally completed, it was time to start milling the siding and the roof sheathing from some cedar logs I had sitting around my property. By now I had fixed the bad cylinder on the excavator, making it much easier to move these logs around. I feel I should preface this next segment by letting you all know that this is not my $30,000 sawmill. My friend Anthony was kind enough to let me use it. so fun using this thing. My sister Molly wanted to get in on the action. She even stuck around to help me install these boards on the shed. My roof ended a little out of square, so my solution to this was to run all the boards wild and then use long pipe clamps to squeeze two corners together in hopes of racking the roof closer to square. Fasten it all down and then trim the ends in place. It ended up square enough to then install the corrugated metal roofing later on. Yeah, it's still broken. Permitting I'm able to troubleshoot those issues and get the forge fully functioning, I hope to put out a future video updating you all on the progress of my blacksmithing. And now that the shed's complete, in some other upcoming videos, we're going to get back into boat building. I have a whole bunch of footage from a project I did a few months back, and I have some exciting projects coming up this winter that I hope to get out here on this channel. I very much still aspire to get out at least one video a month. I do most of all these projects and all the filming and production just in my free time. I daydream often about turning this into some kind of full-time career, and the more support I get from all of you, the closer and closer that daydream becomes a reality. Thank you all so much for watching, and I do really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like it, subscribe to it, comment on it, and share with anyone you know who might be interested in this type of content. A special thank you to all my financial supporters through Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee, especially through these times of inconsistent postings. If you're interested in finding out more about how you can support this channel, please see the links in the video description. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you all next time. I'm going to go catch a dinner goose.